I'm going to do a quick impression of my phone on Saturday. Ding, 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 ding. That's what it did. Why did it do that? Because Caleb Calhoun decided to blow up Kellie Harper. And he makes a pretty good point. Kellie Harper very well could get into the NCAA tournament. Kellie Harper very well could have a team hit a ton of shots from the outside, have a hot night, and advance in the NCAA tournament. It sounds crazy, but 16's a beat one. Cinderella's happen in March. It could happen. Then, if you make the Sweet 16, seems a little weird to fire a coach, doesn't it, Caleb Calhoun? Forgive me if I stole the thunder, but that was pretty much the crux of your argument, which I think is interesting, but I don't necessarily agree with.
Yes. You can't let Kellie Harper get red hot in the NCAA tournament. You can't give her a chance to keep her job. You can't have Dennis Felton at Georgia in the SEC tournament in 2008, which you would have.
Yeah. And they won the SEC tournament, got into the NCAA, and then you couldn't fire him, right?
And then you couldn't fire him when they should have fired him anyway. You can't do it. You can't make your decisions based on red hot runs. Just a quick NFL one real quick. Joe Flacco got really hot and led the Ravens to a Super Bowl, and then the Ravens gave him a $100 million contract. They should have stuck to their guns and said, no, you're not getting this contract. I don't care that you just won the Super Bowl, because he wasn't worth that money. Okay, you got to be that. You can't just react to a red hot run. Now, Kellie Harper defenders are going to talk about how...
No, it's not just defenders. Firing a coach in the middle of the season is just bad business in general.
No, it's not. It happens all the time.
Not all the time.
I'm sorry. You got to make this move because you can't give her a chance to sell keeping her job, because there is no way you can keep your job after the coaching sequence on Saturday. Let me break down, guys, what she did for those of you who aren't watching. Let me break down two things, okay? Kellie Harper.
You know you're chucking this season, right?
So what?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you think this team is going to win a national championship?
Go ahead with your point. Go ahead with your point.
Kellie Harper. Tennessee fought back from 23 down to take a 2-point lead on South Carolina over the weekend. Undefeated number one South Carolina in the SEC tournament, a chance for the upset of the century. They are up 73-71. They get a stop. They get the ball. Jasmine Powell draws a foul with 3 seconds to go. You assume the game's over. Powell, unfortunately for Tennessee, misses both of her free throws. South Carolina is out of timeouts. They rush the ball to midcourt. Okay, now here's where it's crazy. They have the ball with 1 second left at midcourt. Tennessee has a foul to give. Kellie Harper instructs her team, Jules Spear, to use the foul to give. Now, that's already next level stupid. So for those who don't understand, if you have a foul to give, you do that when they're already on your side of the court and they've already got an offense set up, because then you give them less time to set up a play. You know what I'm talking about, right, Dave? When you have the foul to give? Absolutely. What you don't do is do it when they're at midcourt with a second left and no timeouts and they're going to have to throw up a prayer. That's not when you use a foul to give. Now you give them a chance to inbound the ball and set up a shot. So that's already a really dumb decision. Then, coming off the shot, Kellie Harper draws up arguably the worst defense I have ever seen in the history of college basketball. And I just got to share it with you guys real quick because...
No, hold on. Huh? We're not going to share. Do we want to share this? Okay, go ahead and share this. Okay, I was just making sure I can get pulled up. Go ahead.
Cardoso banks in a game-winning three for South Carolina. Look at how open she is. Look at these three guys, or look at these three players right there inside the paint. Okay, why are you guarding the inbounds person? Why does that girl at the top of the key have her eye on the inbounds person? You know they're not going to pass it back to her with 1 second left. This is the worst defensive alignment I think I've ever seen called in the history of the sport. You can't let somebody who would... There are some decisions that are so stupid you got to fire on the spot. And there is Mario Cristobal running a play when he should have taken a knee. There is... there's a few others, but Mario Cristobal running a play when he should have taken a knee is one of those. That's another one of those. You can't ever call a defensive alignment like that. That's the most laughably worst defensive alignment I've ever seen called. It's fireable. You got to fire him right now.
Need Drinker says they double teamed their best 3-point shooter. That girl got lucky, didn't call glass either. She did bank it in. Caleb Dawn Staley said she would have done the same. Well, that is scary. Mead, I got to be honest with you. I like the first part of your comment. I think the girl did get lucky. I think they double teamed the best 3-point shooter. But when another coach is saying that you have a great coach, when your opponent's saying that, you need to be very wary. Okay, so
that's actually the greatest. That's the greatest bit of evidence possible that Kellie Harper should be fired. Is that Dawn Staley's promoting Kellie Harper?
Yeah, that's something that is a big red flag. If Dawn Staley says that looked like great coaching to me, that sounds like what Rick Pitino used to say about Wade Houston back in the day, and we all know how that turned out. I'm not going to make any decision right now. I'm not going to make any decision based off Sweet 16. And here's why. Caleb, Sweet 16 is expected every single year. If that's the best you got, is slipping into the tournament and making the Sweet 16, given what Kellie Harper has done to this point, and that game that you just showed, which was on the screen for our audio listeners, I'm going to fire after a Sweet 16 run anyway. Because I understand that it's harder to do, but it's not impossible to do. And Tennessee, you guys on our Twitter board, you're not tone deaf. You know as well as I do that this program is not going in the right direction. We all know that. So make the change after the Sweet 16. I don't think you teach kids to go halfway through the season. I'll tell a quick story that I'm sure has been told by many of fathers. My son played lacrosse, brought in a travel team that took 21 of the 24 spots. You aren't a part of the crew anymore. The high school did, and he no longer had a starting spot. He still played through the rest of the year. It's important. It's principles. It means something. I love you, Caleb, but no chance you make that change now.
You make it now. You make it now. You don't give her a chance to have a selling point. Now, you will upset. I'll give you this. You will upset many of the Lady Vol contingency by doing this, but I think it's time to upset the contingency anyway, because I think their hold and their stranglehold on what the program should be is what's holding the program back. And I'm just going to say that right off the bat. And guys, I got to address this because everybody keeps talking about how that was Camila Cardozo's first 3-point make ever, and that was the player you leave wide open. I can get with that if they didn't have two players guarding nothing on the court.
Yeah, and I will agree with you on that part. The most frustrating aspect is that everybody looked lost. I mean, it was like there was 0.2 seconds, and they had thought it was over because you can't get a shot off. It's like they had completed the comeback. They had already won the game. Let's go. Let's get rowdy. This is exciting. It wasn't time to get rowdy and get exciting, Caleb.
Exactly. And also, don't try to sell me on Kellie Harper deserving credit for Tennessee playing South Carolina so well, because Dave, you and I both know in conference tournaments, you should throw results out the window. They're not indicative of how good teams are, right? Conference tournaments.
No, they're not indicative at all, with the exception of maybe the ACC tournament. We see that from time to time. Okay, but we haven't heard anything yet. Do you think they would actually ever consider doing that?
No, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. Again, it's and I'm going to get in so much trouble, but the Lady Vol contingency is almost like a mafia. They have so much power over the decisions you make for the Lady Vol basketball program. And they forced Philip Fulmer to hire Kellie Harper in the first place. And
well, I think he was pretty okay with that.
No, he didn't want Kellie Harper.
I think he was willing to do what needed to be done to keep the job.
Fair enough,
and I've said this before. I think Philip loves Tennessee. I think Philip loves Philip just a little more.
I agree with you on that. I totally agree with you on that. I'm saying Philip Fulmer was looking for the best coach, and he admitted in the press conference. He said, I was just looking for the best coach, and then, the speaking to the Lady Vol contingency, they kind of made it clear, you got to hire a Lady Vol. You got to keep it in the family. I'm like, this is embarrassing.
That's not okay. That's not the Lady Vols contingency's fault. That's Philip Fulmer's fault. He didn't have to listen to Lady Vols contingency.
Well, no, you're right. Philip Fulmer was going to play ball to keep his job as much as possible. You're right. Fulmer's never the type that would take the bold stance to anger a bunch of boosters. Is that fair to say? Like, he's too scared to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
I agree.
No.
But he should have, and someone needs to do it. Someone needs to stand up to the mafia because they're a mafia. What they're doing to the Lady Vols.
Here's the other thing. How important is it if Tennessee does make a change, get out of the Pat Summitt legacy factor? I mean, if they hire Kara Lawson, God's sake, that would be awful because I love Kara Lawson. I think she's so talented. What if she's just an okay coach and then her legacy is run into the ground like Holly Warlick and Kellie Harper? It feels like we're trying to destroy every great Lady Vol that Pat Summitt played for. And then it makes your decisions like these that much tougher. If this is the guy at Louisville, what's his name? Walls?
Jeff Walls, yeah.
That Tennessee should have hired. You have, and he's struggling. What do you say? Hit the road, Walls.
It's easier to fire.
Much easier.